So we acknowledge and respect the traditional custodians whose ancestral lands we are meeting upon here today. We acknowledge the deep feelings of attachment and relationships of Aboriginal people visiting or attending from other areas of South Australia and Australia present here today. So welcome to this webinar on Sway. Thank you those of you that have continued to join these webinars throughout the year. I hope that you find this one useful as well. I won't spend too much time around navigating Teams. Just though, if you want to access the chat after this session, please know that you will be able to. It should appear in Teams under this webinar. Also, because I'm dealing with 3 screens, if you do have a question and you type it into chat but I don't get around to answering it, feel free to come off mute on your microphone, because it might just be that I haven't noticed that you've clicked in chat. So feel free to come off mute and ask away. One tip, if you are just using one screen today, I will be showing you some ways that Sway is being used, but then in the second bit of the webinar, we'll actually be using Sway. So if you don't have 2 screens available, you can use the Windows key and the right or the left arrow to split your screen, and that way you'll be able to see what I'm doing on the screen, and also you'll be able to work along and try out Sway as well. Can you just can you give me a thumbs up just to let me know if you can hear me all right? Thank you, that's good. Okay. So I'm going to leave my PowerPoint for the moment, and I'm going to jump straight into sharing my screen. So I did attach to the meeting request the training summary. So this is what I will be basically going through today. So you'll have a record to refer to afterwards as well. So Sway is accessible only as a web app, which means you can't download it onto your desktop. Sorry, let me just get my Teams up so I can see the chat as well. But you can access it from office.com. So if it doesn't appear down the side here, you can go to the 9 dots up the top, and then it should appear in here. So it's the teal coloured one with an S. Before I get you to go in and open Sway up yourself, I will show you some examples though. So this here is a newsletter example, and one of the reasons why we like Sway is that unlike some of the other Microsoft 365 applications, it can actually be shared externally. So it's great if you want to create a newsletter that can be viewed by the community that is what we call responsive. So for example, this one here, if I grab it out and make it look like a phone size, give it a moment, you'll see that it's now changed so that it looks nice if you're reading it on a smaller device. So I'll just go back to full screen and you'll see that the layout's changed. So this one here is just a fake example that my team has created, but you can see it's got some nice headings and it's got some tables in it, lots of information and visuals. You can also embed forms directly into Sway. So if you are creating something like a newsletter where you want parent or community input, you can embed a form directly into the Sway. And then it's also got these nice things called stats. So sometimes if you were sending out a PDF newsletter, it might end up being 10 pages long because you've got all these community announcements at the end. With a Sway, you can add a stack, and then the user or the person reading the newsletter can just click through. And if there's something that they want to see in a bigger view, they can just see that particular item. So that's quite nice in order to shorten the length of the newsletter. You can also embed videos. So this is a YouTube that's been embedded, and that's really easy, and I'll show you how to do that after as well. This here is an actual real example. So this is Wakerville Primary School's newsletter. And you can see, again, it's got these nice headings, a nice colour scheme, and lots of information. And again, this one is responsive, so it will change depending on what device people are using to look at it. It's not just primary schools. Also, this one's a real example from Banksia Park International High. And again, you can see they've used a similar colour scheme. But again, you can see it's nicely formatted. As well as newsletters, this is an example of a student portfolio. So Seaton High School uses Sway with their high school students to create student portfolios. So they've got a template that they use, and the student then adds artifacts in. And then again, when the student leaves school, they've got this, or they can copy this and they can share it with an employer, for example, or they can share it with their family. This is another example of how you might use Sway. So this is one that I've created, so you can see the back end. So this is a Sway that could be used for PD, for staff. And if I press play, you can see this one is an example of a horizontal navigation one. So again, you can see it looks quite nice. You can embed videos that you're going to show staff. You can embed links as well. And at the end, it will show you, well, it doesn't in this one, but if you add elements and photos, it normally gives you a list of all the resources that have been used as well. This last example is one that's on our Eddy. So this is another team within the department that's created this Way. So again, you can see it's nice, it presents nicely. Again, this blue colour has been chosen as the theme, but it's very easy to create something that looks very professional. Okay, any questions so far? Feel free to come off mute if you have something to ask. Okay, so now it would be great if we can do the next bit together. So if you can go to Microsoft Office, so I'll put the link in the chat just in case you want to click on it from the chat. And if you can give me a thumbs up once you've got that office.com up, so that I can wait for everyone to be ready to follow along. Thanks, Glenys. Anybody else manage to get office.com open? Or maybe if you can type in the chat a Y for yes or a thumbs up. Perfect, Sandra. Give people, excellent. Thanks, Sonia. I'll give people 1 more minute. Excellent. Great, Linda. Okay. So if you've got this Office homepage open and you can't see Sway down the side, if you click on those 9 dots, then you should see Sway appear in your menu here. So if you click on Sway then, it will open up Sway. Now, if you've done or created Sways before, they appear here. Otherwise, you might just get these top ones here. So there's several ways that you can start a new Sway. We normally suggest to start from a blank Sway, but I'm just going to quickly show you some other ways you can as well. So the first one is start from a document. And I've got a document. It's not the best document to start a Sway from, but it will do. So if you want to use the one I've got, unless you've got one handy, I'll drop that into the chat now as well. And I've got it saved on my desktop. So I'm just going to click on where it's saved and open. And then it's going to process that and take a bit of time. Now this particular one, let me just get it back up for a moment. Now this particular one, I'll just show you the Word version. It's not that great an example because it's got lots of graphics and lots of tables, but we'll see what Sway makes of it. So it's come in, it's put in my text, it's put in those graphics, and it's put in those tables there as well. Now, if I'm okay with how this looks, I could just go and leave it like that. Otherwise, I can click on the edit. And then in Storyline, I can go in and change those bits. So that's one way to get a Sway happening very quickly. But as you can see, it didn't do that good a job at making something look nice. So let's go back and we go back to Sway. And we're now going to go to another option, which is a template. So we can click on more templates here. And again, these ones here you can use. So for example, if you wanted your students to create something, you might click on the resume, for example, and they might use the resume as a template and they can start editing and then they can change the wording, etc. And if I click on play, I can see those changes have happened. Okay, let's go back to edit and let's click back on Sway. Okay, so now you'll notice that my Sway homepage looks a bit different. So if your Sway looks like this, don't worry. If it still is looking like this one, let's just go back. That's okay as well. The reason why I want to show you that second homepage for Sway, which you can get to if you click on all Sways down there, is that from this homepage, there's a thing called Start from a Topic. Now, I really like this one as a teacher because if you use Sway with your students, this allows students to start from a bit of a scaffold so that they can create something that looks really great without having to spend all the time working on the presentation. So if I click on Start from a Topic, and can someone come off mute or type in the chat a topic for me, and we give it a go and see what it comes up with. Anyone's doing a topic with their students at the moment? Okay, looks like I'm going to have to think of one myself. So let's put in here fish. And if I do create outline or Russian Revolution, I can give it a go, Glenys. I'm not sure what it will come up with, but we'll see. Now, it's probably going to go to Wikipedia and pull information out from there, but let's give it a go. Create outline. See what it produces for us. Okay, so it's got us a title. And then what you'll see is it's got some information from Wikipedia, but it prompts the student can't copy and paste, it prompts the student to read and rewrite that information in their own words. You'll see it's already pulled some pictures up as well, and some more text that it thinks might be useful. And if I go to play, you can see that it already looks quite nice. It's got the pictures in there. And so as a student, I've already got some of those prompts and some of that structure to help me or guide me with my presentation. Haven't tried Russian Revolution before, but yeah, it looks like it's given me some information. Also, there you can see all the places it went to find that information. So any pictures it's used, it's already put those in as references, and any information it's sourced as well. So that's something to think about if you're teaching students to write reports, for example, and they need that extra guidance. Okay, so let's go back now. So if you were in this version, you click on Create New. If you got to it from those 9 dots, you can click on New Blank Sway. And I might just get people again to give me a thumbs up or type Y in the chat if you've got to this screen here, which is the new Sway. Thanks, Linda. Excellent, Sandra. Excellent. I'll give people another minute to get to this slide or this stage. If anyone hasn't been able to access Sway, please feel free to come off mute and we try and work out what the problem is as well. Okay, so as I said, I've just shown you 3 different ways to create a Sway, but the one we normally suggest is this one, which is creating a new Sway from scratch. the reason why is you've got a lot more flexibility in what it looks like and what the design is like. So first of all, we're going to put in a title for our sway. So this one is just going to be a topic I know lots about, which is myself. So about me. I can choose a background if I want. And let's put in, well, let's see what my favourite colour brings up. Whether that brings up something that looks nice. This one looks interesting. So let's add that. Okay, so I've got my title. I've chosen a background, and then I want to add some more things. So first of all, I'm going to just go to the text, and I might add a heading. So this first bit that I'm going to add is about my pets. Oops. So I'm going to put in pets, and then I'm going to do the plus sign. Now, I might want to write a bit more text to tell people about my pets. So I'll click on pets and I'll click on text. So I have chickens and goldfish. I have lots of chickens. How many do I have? 11 at the moment. Okay. So I've added a heading, I've added some text, and now I'm going to add in some media. So I might just put in an image, and again, I'm going to go into my search, which should be next to it, and let's put in chicken and see what comes up there. Okay, it looks like this is an eyes of brown, so let's add that one. And I could write in my, or let's put 8 chickens. Eyes of browns. Okay, and that's going to come as a caption in here. Okay, so I've got a heading, I've got text, and I've got picture. So now I want to add, maybe let's add another section. So let's add another heading, and then for this one, let's put in my favourite food. Oops. Now I've got my heading. Let's do a plus. This time I'm going to actually go to group, and I want to add a stack because I don't want to have my favourite things in a long list. I want to have them that I can flip through. So let's add content. Let's add a picture. Let's put in my favourite food, pizza. Let's have a look. Yep, that one looks good. And then we add another image. I like gardening. Let's see what that comes up as. Oh, this one looks nice. And I like sewing. Yep, that one looks good. Okay, so what we might have a look at next is what it will look like when we press play. So I've added some stuff in here, and if I want to see what it looks like at the moment, I just have to go up to the top and press play. So here it is. There's my first heading about me, my pets, my picture with my caption, my favourite oh, it was favourite food and I did favourite things as a stack. I might have to change that heading. Okay, this is looking pretty good so far, but it's not really my style. So I'm going to go back to edit. And this time, over on my left-hand side, I've got two options. I've got my storyline and I've got my design. Actually, I'll change that favourite food to favourite things first. So, I'm in storyline at the moment, which is where I want to be if I want to add new media. And I'm now going to click on design because that allows me to change the style. So over on the right, there's this button here called styles. So at the moment, you can see it's horizontal, but I want to change it to vertical. And then I can see what it looks like here. Now, I don't really like that at all. So I've got lots of options to customize. So I could try this one, for example, see what that looks like. Yeah, that's all right. Still a bit busy. Let's try this one instead. Yeah, not too bad. I can also change color schemes. So that one there, getting there. Let's try this one. So you can see I can spend a bit of time making it look how I want it to look. But I've got all these options that mean that I can choose something that will look nice without me having to do lots of work. I do have the option to customize as well. So if I want to, for example, use a color palette from one of my pictures, I can use that. Or if I wanted to add like my school colors, I can do that in here as well. I could change my font. So let's choose this one instead. See what that looks like. And I can change my font size as well. What's that? Yep, that looks good. If I press remix, it's going to change it all for me, which can be a good thing. But you can't, there's no version history in Sway. So I can't remix lots and then decide to go back. So if you do something that you don't like, make sure you do the undo and don't leave it too many steps, or don't go out of your browser because you won't be able to go back. Okay, so I've added some stuff, but I want to also add a table because I want to show or add some things about my family. So I'm going to go back to storyline. Now, unfortunately, Sway doesn't allow you to just add a table directly into Sway. So instead, I'm going to open up a Word document. So I'm just going to do a new blank document in Word. And in Word, I'm going to insert a table. Now, if you don't have Word open, that's fine. You can just watch this one, or you can follow along if you would like as well. So family members. And what do we want? Name. Probably only want 2 columns. So let's delete that. Okay, so we've got dad, which is Bella, son 1, which is Issa, and son 2, which is Libas, and mum, which is myself. Okay, so I've got that in there. I'm going to save this So I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm just going to, in this case, save it on my desktop. Family. And then I'm going to close that. Now, if you want to use my family in this example, I'll drop that file into the chat as well. Okay, so let's go back to Sway. And in this time, I'm going to upload. So I've clicked on the press. It's given me some suggestions. If it doesn't come up with the upload in the suggestions, it's under media. Upload, and in this case, I'm going to go to where I saved that file, so desktop and family. Give it a moment, and then you can see it's added that in. So let's have a look and see whether it's added it in as a table. Yep. So there it is now as a table with my family members and the names. So whatever formatting I did for my table in Word would also be brought in. So if I open that file up again, I'll just do a quick demonstration and bring that file back across. So if I went in, for example, let's go to table design, and I chose something like that. Let's save it again. And I'll just close it again. So go back in Sway and do edit again. And this time I'm going to add media upload. I'll find that document again, family. And this time it should upload it with those table formatting. So let's have a look. So to have a look at what it's going to look like, I'm going to press the play. There's the top. And you see there this time, that second table with my formatting has come in with those formatting changes. So that's how you can add a table into Sway. So it's a little bit more complicated, but once you know how to do it, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so the next bit that I want to show you is how to embed something. So again, we're going to press and do a plus, and this time we want to do media. Now, for instance, if I wanted, oops, let's try again, media. If I wanted to embed a video, so say something I've already uploaded to YouTube, or I want to link to something that's uploaded to YouTube, under media, I'm not going to choose the video one. I'm going to choose this one called embed. And then if I go to YouTube, so in this case, I'm going to choose our YouTube channel, and I'll drop that in chat if you want a quick place to go. And so I want to embed this video here. I'm just going to, in YouTube, go to it. And then down here, I've got this option called share. Now in YouTube, if you click on share, it will just give you the link, but you've got this option here called embed. And if I click on that, it's going to give me a whole lot of HTML. So that's what I want in order to embed this video into my Sway. So I just have to click on copy here. And then if I go back to my Sway, hopefully I can get it. Yep. I can click in this bit here that says paste your embedded code here, and Control V will paste it in. And then you see here, it's now got that video. Let's click on play to have a look at what it looks like. All right, down to the bottom. Okay, and there it is. And if I click on play here, it's going to play that video there, all within my Sway. Let's go back to edit. Now, I didn't really like that. Oh, look, it's in my family, that's why. So we want to drag it out and put it underneath. Will it let me do it? Won't let me do it. Let's give it some emphasis and then let's try again. Media and embed. Still embedding it there. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's put in another heading first. Here we go. So let's give it a heading, interesting videos, and we'll do that process again. So we're pressing on the plus. We want media. We're not going to do the video. We're going to do embed. We're going to go to a YouTube clip. Once we've found the video that we want to embed, we click on the share. And instead of just copying, we go to this embed option and copy it all. And then we can go back to our Sway and Control V to paste it in. Okay. And then if I want to make it bigger, I can also press that one to make it look bigger on the screen. So let's press play now and have a look at that. Okay, and there it is. And this time it's filling up the whole screen. If I wanted it not to be quite so big, I could change it to medium or make it small as well. Okay, so the other thing in there is embedding a form, and that's done much the same way. So I'll quickly show you that one as well. So I'm just going to do, I'm just going to go back to office.com and I'm going to click on forms. And I'm just going to go into this form that I've already created. Now this one, I can't share the link with you because I'm the owner. But if you wanted to share a form that you've already created, you could do it this way, or you could go back and watch it again. So in here, I'm going to go collect responses. Oops. And then in here, I've got the embed option here. So I'm going to copy this, go back to my Sway, add media embedded, and then Control V to paste. And this time it should have my form in there. So let's press play and see what that looks like as well. Here it is. So that's that form that I've created, and it's in there for people to fill out directly in my Sway. So that's using the embed again. So within forms, when you go to collect responses, make sure you use that embed option there so that you can get that code. Okay, so going back to my training summary, I think I've shown you how to insert and embed all the different types of media. We did have a look at that design. So I'll just go back to edit. So remember, if you want to change the layout or the look or the style, it's in this design phase, not the storyline. And that's when you can change the style and pick from the different options down here. So I think the last thing to show you is how to share it and some of the settings. So if I click share here, you've got some options here about who can see it. So if you choose this middle one, those in your organisation with the link, that means that anyone with an @schools email address can use that link to access it. So that might be an employee or it might be a student. If you do specific groups or people, you can add the names of people in there. So if it was a sway that was for a PD, for example, you might add the names of staff members who needed access to the sway. If you want anybody to be able to access it, so if you wanted to share the sway with community, for example, if you wanted to do a newsletter like this, or if you wanted your students to create presentations that they could then share with their parents and family, then it's the anyone with a link. And you can say there's also two options here. So there's the view and edit. So if you just want people to be able to see it, make sure it's on view. If you want people to edit it, then you can select edit as well. Okay, there's some more options here. So if you wanted to make sure that your sway wasn't being shared with anybody who you didn't have access or who you didn't want to have access, you could also require a password. And you can untick this button if you don't want people to be able to share it as well. Okay, there's also some more options if you click those three dots. So you've got duplicate this way. So if you were creating a newsletter, for example, and you got one that looked really nice, you might want to duplicate it so that you've got your original and then the one that you can manipulate. You can also save it as a template, but when you save it as a template, it's only accessible to the person that, or to you. You can export it and print it. Now, when you do that, it doesn't look that fantastic, but that is a way to share it with community. For example, if you did create your newsletter using Sway, but you still have some families that want a printed copy, if you do export, it will turn it into a PDF. It isn't the prettiest thing, but all the information and the pictures will be there. In settings for this way, you've got some more options in here. So you can set who can duplicate this way. You can set who can change the layout. You can also do autoplay so that if you wanted things to happen in an audio, like a slideshow type scenario, you can put in an autoplay so that it loops through. And you can have options to have the text direction buttons and the how you're viewing it as well. Okay, so I think that's probably the end of the demonstration and taking you through the basics of Sway. Were there any questions before I point you in the direction of some more resources? Again, feel free to type in the chat or come off mute if you've got some questions. Okay, well, then I might just use the last bit of the session to show you some resources or some things that you can access to further explore how Sway can be used. So, first of all, I'll show you our YouTube channel. So I'll just go back. So our team has a YouTube channel. So I'll just put that in the chat. Where we publish lots of tutorials about all things to do with technology. But the playlist that is particularly useful for Sway is this one here. So I'll put in the link to that as well. And in here, there's a whole lot of short tutorials around how to do the things that I've talked you through today. So how to embed a Microsoft form, for example. You'll see the top video here is actually 24 minutes long. That is quite a step-by-step how to create a Sway. So if you're after more guidance, have a look at that one. Otherwise, there's lots of short ones here. And this one here has just reminded me that I need to show you one more feature of Sway. So I will just jump back into Sway to show you that before I show you some other education resources. So one of the other great things about Sway is that it does give you some analytics. So I'm going to go into what I'm in Sway. I'm going to go into all Sways and get this home page, and then I can see the analytics here. So here this shows me how viewed my Sways are. So for instance, if I send out a PDF to parents, I'm not going to know whether they've looked at this PDF. But if I send out a Sway, I'm not going to know who's accessed it, but I will get an idea of how many people have accessed it. So for example, this one here, I can see 16 people have looked at it, glanced at it. 6 people did a quick read and no people read it in depth. This one here is one that's on Eddie about Minecraft, so it's quite a popular one. So you can see 4,511 people have opened it up to have a look. 768 people read it quickly, and then 279 people read it in depth. So that is quite useful if you want to get an idea of whether something you're sending out is being viewed by the people that you're sending it out to. If I go to viewed as well, I can see all the ones that I've viewed. So here, Wakerville Primary School, I didn't create that, but it's one I've looked at, so it appears here. Same with this Microsoft Teacher Workshops and some of the other ones. So that's handy if you've looked at a Sway and you can't remember where you found it or who saw it or who produced it. You can look in your viewed as well. Okay, so jumping back to the resources, I showed you about those resources on our YouTube channel. The other place that you can access self-learning, self-paced learning, is the Microsoft Learn Center. So this used to be Microsoft Educator Center, but this year it's changed and all the courses are now on Microsoft Learn. And if I go to Browse All Educator Training and I put in Sway in here, it's only come up with one module, but it's come up with some training for you. If you sign in to this one, I haven't signed in, but if you do, it will also give you a record of the training that you've done, and you can collect badges and things like that. So that's useful if you're wanting to prove your PD to the Teachers Registration Board, for example. Okay, I think that's about it. So again, if people have questions, please feel free to come off mute or type them in the chat. Otherwise, that work? My hair hasn't. The last thing that we'd love you to do is to fill in our feedback form, because I do look at it and it does help me and our team to improve our training. It will also provide you with a certificate for attending this training as well. So again, if there's anything you'd like me to show you again, or if you have any questions, feel free to come off mute. We have finished a little bit early, so I'm happy to stick around and help anyone if they've got any questions. Otherwise, feel free to have an early minute.